We would now be requesting Dr. Kullan Rudro, Chairman, West Bengal Pollution Control Board, to address us. We would just like to mention that Dr. Kullan Rudro is, of course, an academic of great distinction, his specialization being in fluvial geomorphology, and his area of research has been the rivers of the Ganga and the Brahmaputra Delta. Dr. Rudro is also the chairman of West Bengal Wasteland Development Corporation, and he has been recently nominated as the member of the Central Pollution Control Board, New Delhi. We welcome Dr. Kullan Rudro.
Mr. P.K. Pandey, my friend Santanu Basu, very learned friend Shobhit Bhattacharya, and Mr. S.N. Ganguly, and dignitaries present in the dais. At the outset, I must admit that I'm really very embarrassed this morning. As told, my specialization is largely water and river management. I have never worked on energy sector. Definitely I work on climate change, but I have not worked on. But chairman of the PCB is rather a distressed person. He is being requested to attend many seminars and sometimes requesting to deliver the inaugural address. And like a fool, I accept this. So I was, whenever my friend Shantanu Basu requests me, it is really difficult for me to avoid this. And still, I must congratulate you for selecting a very important contemporary issue. A few days back, the fifth assessment report of the IPCC, that is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, was designated in Kolkata, and I was also present in that function. And it is unanimously admitted that all over the world, the climate is changing. And major cause of this is undoubtedly the fossil fuel burning. I had been working on the climate change issue of West Bengal, taking a database of about 100 years. I took the database of 1901 to 2002. What we observe here is that our June rainfall is declining. During last 100 years, it has declined by about 48 millimeter. Our September rainfall is increasing by about 33 millimeter during last 100 years. There is a tendency of intense short duration rainfall, leading to less infiltration or recharging of the groundwater and more runoff causing flood. And along with this, our winter temperature, average winter temperature tends to increase. And as you all realize, largest problem is in our agricultural sector. As you know that our farmers create a kind of nursery bed during May, and whenever rainfall comes, or during second week of June, they transplant that. Whenever June rainfall is delayed, they are in serious crisis. So this kind of crisis, I don't know where is the solution. This is the most serious crisis I have ever dealt with. But the PCB, West Bengal Pollution Control Board, is guided by three major acts. One, what we call Water Act, 1974. The second one, what we called the Air Act, 1981, and Environment Protection Act. And we have mainly 8 areas of we have about 8 mandates on which we work. Very precisely, I would like to mention here, that is the protection and restoration improvement of environment and ecological condition of the state. Secondly, the controlling and minimizing the pollution from point source, both air and water. Thirdly, identification and surveillance of the pollution of the industries, including the power plants. redress the public grievances. Whenever we receive public, we have a public grievance cell. Whenever we receive any complaint from any public, we try to redress it. We have a technical hearing cell. We call both the parties and try to redress it. This is one of the functions of the PCB. And we often advise the state government on pollution monitoring, what to do or what not to do, etc., etc. And we have a research and development wing on which we support different kind of research within our mandate and the training and generating awareness regarding the environment. Any industry, if you wish to establish within the geographical territory of West Bengal, we need to take a consent from PCB. We offer two kinds of consent. One is consent to establish. Second one is consent to operate. And we try to advise the best available technologies, quite precisely we call that, to the industry so that pollution abatement goes in a right way. Recently, I would like to mention here that Government of India, that is the CPC, the Central Pollution Control Board, and MOEF, based on a comprehensive environment pollution index, what we call CEPI, identified 3 critically polluted areas of West Bengal. One is Haldia, second is Howrah, third is Asansol. And Durgapur was also declared as polluted. And they imposed ban on establishment of any new industries on that. Subsequently, PCB tried to work on that, and we had a series of meetings with the industries. We advised what to do, how to improve your score, and subsequently, we had been able to convince the Government of India to lift that ban. But still, we are in strict surveillance of the Government of India and CPCB and also MOEF. What we are advised, they have identified 17 categories of polluting industries. And definitely power plant is one of them. And they have advised to install online monitoring system, both air and water. And that will be connected with the server of the State Board as well as with the CPCB. I'm happy to announce here that the work in the thermal power plant of West Bengal are in progress. The air quality monitoring has advanced a little bit, but water quality is in the process of installation. This is good. And again, we are under the surveillance of the National Green Tribunal. They have also advised this to install this, and accordingly, we are keeping regular touch with all the industries, etc., etc. As told by my predecessors, I am not going to touch the potentiality of this non-renewable energy sources. I will just briefly mention what PCB is doing. As my friend Shantanu Basu told, we are also installing solar power plant in 80 schools and 20 health centers of West Bengal by this financial year. The work is already in progress and some of the schools has already installed. If you have in your knowledge, I address this, I take the opportunity of this podium, if you have within your village or anywhere else in West Bengal, any health center needing this kind of support, you can apply to the PCB. We shall definitely take care. And by this financial year, we will do about 100, and by next, we are hoping to increase it by about 500. So, if you look at the other legal provisions, if you look at the Municipal Building Rules 2007, that has the provision of the use of the solar energy and has been made mandatory for any building having height of more than 14.5 meter. It is mandatory. And then, if you look at the Kolkata Municipal Corporation rules, any building about 15 meter height, it is mandatory for them to install solar energy unit. And there is another committee, State Environment Appraisal Committee. This is generally constituted by the Budgetary Division of the Government of India. I was the member of that committee before I joined as the chairman of the PCB. Any housing or industrial unit covering more than 20,000 square meter needs to take approval from that ACIA. And there too, we impose condition of using the solar power. And that must be at least 1% of the energy consumption. This, another news I like to share with this, the PCB also trying to promote waste to energy project. We have started a pilot project under Barasat municipality that is largely from municipal waste to energy project. The MOU has already been signed, the work has started. We hope that it will come to this in operation within 1 year or so. So keeping in view all these issues, I would like to thank the Association of Engineers for choosing this very, very important issue which has monthly directional impact. And I believe that, I strongly believe that I am treated as senior citizen, but my lifetime, remaining lifetime, may somehow be vanished. But I am by training, by profession, by belief, I am a teacher. I am always worried about my students, and we need to keep a secure future for them. And energy management is one of the issues which can ensure a secure and sustainable future for the generations. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you so much. We thank Dr. Kullandendra. And now we would request Sri Shobhik Bhattacharya for his address. Sri Bhattacharya had done his bachelor's from Jadavpur University and then his master's from the University of Cincinnati, USA, and his PhD from Texas A&M University. Ladies and gentlemen, he is absolutely qualified to speak on renewable energy because he has researched on what nightmarish effect traditional energy, conservative energy, can lead to. He is, in fact, his area of research include heat transfer enhancement, thermodynamic optimization, energy engineering, etc., etc. So may we now request the Deputy Director of IIT Kharagpur, Sri Shobhik Bhattacharya, to join us.
Good morning, Sri Pandey, Shantanu, Mr. Vasu, Dr. Rudra, and Mr. Ganguly, all the dignitaries in the audience, researchers, administrators, engineers, enthusiasts, press, media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful opportunity. I have a long friendship with Showman, and he's kind of one of those Nachor kind of characters, and in a very good way. And I failed to say no. So I'm here again, and it is actually a privilege. I feel good standing here in front of you and share this opportunity. I directly do not work in renewables, but in the periphery, in the related aspects and stuff like that. Mr. Ganguly, NTPC, was sharing with me that as produced, solar energy is still 50% more expensive than, let's say, you produce a unit of electricity from coal, a thermal power plant. So, and I dare not say anything on economics with the Delhi School of Economics guy standing on the dais. So this remains a core difficulty. How long can you sustain this? How long can the government or a non-government organization can produce such expensive electricity, and just because it looks good, you can continue to generate Is it a compulsion that we are forcing ourselves to? Are we talking about anything beyond this seminar today? Are we going to go home and talk about conventional electricity still? So does it go beyond such gatherings, such get-togethers? Well, the picture will change. I believe, being an engineer and all of you, possibly many of you in this room, we are still a strong believer in technology and technology intervention, and technology can mesmerize things which you didn't expect today will make a difference tomorrow. So the smartphones have done it with amazing content and the way we operate it with access and attraction and usefulness and all that. They have pretty much killed the desktop market. They're going to kill the laptop market. So different devices in different forms are going to happen. So tomorrow, maybe the national grid, I say a little distant tomorrow, the national grid may not be as essential. The big giant power plants, the big supply corporations, the big production generating companies may not be there. They'll be there in a different shape, different form if technology takes over. If technology takes over, that you have a spray gun, like the hair dryer or whatever, like the perfume spray, you have a spray gun and you spray something into the air, it's like magic, there is electricity. So I'll talk about that, how it's shaping up a little bit. It sounds like science fiction now, it may not be so tomorrow. So technology will dramatically change things. The distributed generation will take over. The individuals, the societies, the neighborhood will have its own system. And you'll have neighborhood power companies for about 1,000 people. IIT Kharagpur campus hosts 22,000 people. I don't know how many of you know that, on a 2,100-acre campus. Maybe we will not draw much electricity from the grid, very little, but we will be almost self-dependent. And that sort of picture will gradually emerge. So technology is going to make that electricity cheaper. We won't be able to do it till that happens, because the audit firms, the CAG will come and tell us, if you could buy electricity at 4 rupees a unit, why did you generate at 6 rupees? We won't be able to answer that. So there are issues like that. So it's going to change with magical technological transformation. We won't be doing the business the same way. All our present numbers, all our present calculations, all our present thinkings will not work, just like it hasn't worked in some other sectors lately. So, forecasting, I'm going to do a bit of future, as you can feel. When I was a student, learning thermodynamics, power plant engineering in classrooms, not too far away from here, in classrooms, and we used to talk about 30% theoretical, little higher, but actual hovering around 30%. Today it's more like 35+%. But then there are power plants today in this country and everywhere else actually operating at 60% efficiency, combined cycle power plants. That's the reality for how many years now? 10 years now, at least. So that wasn't there when I was a student. 60% operating efficiency. That's something to think about. But then not everybody will be able to build a combined cycle power plant. There are issues. There are fuel supply issues. Not everybody will have gas, and so on and so forth. But then we have to choose, we have to make our policy so that we move in that direction. We talk about growth, we talk about demand growth. It is also an issue about efficiency. So some of the numbers are a little interesting, that global energy consumption, if you look at, I have culled numbers from various major significant studies, not insignificant studies, so things which are reliable and dependable. So the global energy consumption, this is global, not Indian, will rise by about 35% from, they took 3 decades, 5 years back, 2010 to 2040. And guess what? Half this will be from us and China. That's the way these two countries are. So it's a huge footprint of China and India in the global picture, and with a projected growth of 5.5% per annum between 2013 and 2035, these 20 years. Of course, the growth in India is little higher, again, with due permission from the gentleman from DSE. The average will taper off for China because they have reached certain plateau, and India still is trying to achieve some higher level. And so we are going to, China will be the world's largest by 2035, India will be the third largest economy by 2035, and they will jointly account for about 1/3 of global population and GDP. So that's the big picture. We are going to be the big giants, hopefully gentle giants. The global population compared to 2010, 7 billion will rise to 9 billion in 2040, and the 40% of this increase will come from our country. That's again a dominant picture. So all this is going to, the projected growth in global energy demand, as I said, 30% growth will be accounted for by China and 20% by India. That's half the growth of the global total growth from these two countries. And that's going to cause various demands in our picture, and that's going to cause policymakers to take certain decisions which are going to be very different from some other country, because these two countries are moving in certain direction, certain scale that other countries are not. So global electricity demand is projected to grow by approximately about 85%. Why? One is the population growth, the other one is living standards rising, and economy is expanding because of the growth, and the electrification of societies continue to happen no matter what, however slow that is today. The energy scenario is not just about growth, as I said, it's also about efficiency. If you did not become efficient, if you kind of business as usual kind of scenario from now on, we would require about 140% energy demand growth. 140% energy demand growth, and the actual projected number is only 35%. Because of what? Because of efficiency. So corresponding improvements in performance in all sectors. So we need to perform better, and we are performing better than yesterday. When you say we, I only restrict myself to energy. There are many sectors where we are doing much worse, as you know, every day. Coal, renewable energy is going to do to coal what smartphones have done to desktop computers, and so on and so forth. So everybody, kind of displacing somebody else and eating up somebody else's space. It's all competition. The better guys will occupy the space. And the good thing about India is the renewable looks promising in terms of the general growth picture, and India is going to be the leading nation in renewables a couple of decades later. That's projected, better than others. And when we talk about renewable, we also say that for us, engineers believe, others may not, nuclear has to be part of the solution. Otherwise, we may not see a very good picture. It's something which we need to accept. The Asia-Pacific zone, if we focus on, the Southeast Asia is one of the cleaner zones in the world in terms of emission, the Southeast Asia. As a matter of fact, it can be called the cleanest, with 27% Southeast Asia, not India. 27% of its electricity consumption from renewables, mostly hydro. India and China follow with 26% and 20% respectively. And by 2030, 15 years later, we expect India to top this list. That's where the promising picture is. India rises to the top with 45% of renewables. And Australia would be 36%, China would be 33%. So India does project a very promising near future scenario. Some of the numbers has already been churned out. The challenge is, I'm not very sure how today we have 3.5 gigawatt of solar. That's 1,000 megawatt. 3.5 gigawatts of solar, and the projection, the official government projection in 2022, everybody talks about, already mentioned in this seminar today, that it would be 100 gigawatt. That's a tall task, tall ask. It's really, so how do you do it? I don't think it will happen with the current technology. I don't believe with the photovoltaic technology, the silicon cell technology that we have today, we are going to be able to do 100 gigawatt in 2022. It seems to be very, very difficult, unless we are really going to, I will use that word, fritter away a whole lot of our resources just to prove that we can do renewable energy. That's not a very smart move, economically speaking. So, alternate technology is in the horizon. It's not commercial yet. I'll spend a few minutes on that. There is a material we are talking about. I'll give you the name right away. The new magic material that's slated to displace silicon completely is called perovskite. It's a new magic solution for solar cells. Almost sounds like we'll soon should be sooner than later. Should say goodbye to silicon cells. And that would make life easier. That would make it much easier for people to take decisions. Originally discovered in Russia way back in 1839. Look at this. This material was discovered in 1839 and named after the Russian mineralogist Lev Perovsky. So Perovsky, the material is called perovskite, is a species of naturally occurring minerals. Its primary composition is calcium titanate. And so the interesting thing about this material is the light absorbing layer on a substrate this is the way the manufacturing, the technology is developing, can be simply sprayed on. If you remember, I talked about a hairspray or a perfume spray. So if you have a flexible, they're talking about even newspaper, light newspaper kind of material. So you're going to go to the local hardware store and you're going to buy a roll of solar cell. Look at this, a roll of solar cell, a flexible roll, almost like a newspaper roll. Or maybe you might have seen the big paper rolls that are used in printing presses, huge paper rolls, something like that. And you're going to bring it over and you're going to spread it over any surface thinkable. Additionally, work is also on to come up with transparent material like this. The magic is the light absorbing layer. It's very thin. It's 1,000th the thickness of the corresponding layer in silicon cell. It's that much thinner, 1 by 1,000. And anyway, just spraying it on. That makes it absolutely cheap to prepare this. You're going to lay it on everything. You are not going to depend on the rooftop, the railway rooftop or the house rooftop. You're going to put it on every thinkable surface of your house or anything. You're going to wear a jacket with this transparent thing. It shouldn't mess with the fashion, I hope, which will generate electricity. Think of the soldier out there in the desert, in the Middle East, let's say, fighting. Hope they are not fighting, but they have to, under the realistic situations, and they work in 50 degrees Celsius temperatures. So today they actually carrying power sources, wear personal cooling system. Otherwise they will die in that temperature. So think of that. Out there in the desert, wearing perovskite film on their jackets and generating electricity to keep them cool. You can, you can just let fly your imagination and see what happens. The silicon cell, just say goodbye to silicon cells when it does happen. And it is an unorthodox approach, so the manufacturing and the technology hasn't matured yet. It will take a few time, but the promising things are normally such technologies in terms of the conversion efficiency takes about 10 to 15 years to get up to where they are. Silicon cell took 15-20 years to get up to about 25% today. And this technology has taken 3 years to rise to 19% in the laboratory since 2012. That's a sharp gradient. 3 years to reach 19%. It's getting there. So around 20% today. Who knows how soon it will be competing with. So in terms of efficiency, it's still worse. in terms of cost, the promises are mind-boggling. It is going to sweep silicon off their feet. And so the economics is going to work out, which is the challenge today. The economics is the payback is going to be super fast, matter of months compared to matter of years for silicon. So that's going to be and we also need to do this cradle to grave life cycle assessment for silicon because silicon is hyped up. If you look at how silicon is manufactured from the material mining stage and all, it may not look so glorious as we call it today. So policymakers are going to do a good job in terms of supporting such initiatives and generally, incentivizing such efforts all around. So we hope renewable will have a bright future with all this. The wind energy is going to start up a storm. We hope solar energy becomes warm enough for us to see it all around. And national grids, giant power plants probably will become pages in the history sometime soon. So forums like this will be distributed in the neighborhoods. Power plants, you'll do Durga Puja collection, you'll do power plant collections, power plant subscription collections. You don't know, life is going to be, in our lifetime, you have seen amazing changes happen to you. So this is something else, there are more to come. So that's it. But since magic today will be our top technology tomorrow, and that future is nigh. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sri Shobhi Bhattacharya.